After the death of Moshe, God told Yehoshua, the son of Nun, "Arise and pass over the Jordan River to the land which I have given to the Bnei Israel and apportion it to them. Wherever your feet will step, I will give to you, from the wilderness to Lebanon as far as the river Euphrates. This will be your border, and no man will be able to offer resistance to you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so shall I be with you. Only be strong and brave in observing the Torah, which Moshe commanded you. Do not turn from the path, either to the right or left, so that you act wisely in all that you do." Then Yehoshua commanded the officers of Israel, "Pass through the camp and command the people to prepare provisions, for in 3 days you will pass through the Jordan River in order to possess the land." The officers of Israel did so, and they commanded the people, who did as Yehoshua had commanded. Conquest of Jericho. Then Yehoshua sent 2 men to explore the land, and they went and spied on the city of Jericho. They returned to Yehoshua after 7 days and told him that God would surely give into the hands of Israel all the land, and that its population would tremble with fear before Israel. After this, Yehoshua arose in the morning, and all Israel were with him, and they journeyed from Shittim. Yehoshua crossed the Jordan the 10th day of the first month, Nisan, when he was 82 years old. They made camp in Gilgal on the east side of Jericho, and here they performed the Pesach sacrifice on the 14th day of Nisan, as is commanded in the Torah. The man ceased to fall on the day after that Pesach, and from that day on the people ate from the produce of the land of Canaan. Now Jericho was closely shut on account of the Bnei Israel. No person entered or left. It happened on the first day of the second month that God said to Yehoshua, "Break camp, as I have given Jericho and its king and its people and and its people into your hands. All the men capable of fighting shall make a circuit around the city once each day. This you will do for 6 days. The Kohanim will blow the shofar. When you hear the sound of the shofar, the people will sound a great alarm, and the wall of the city will fall down flat. Then every man will go forward." Yehoshua acted accordingly. On the 7th day they made 7 circuits around the city, and the Kohanim blew the shofar. With the 7th circuit, Yehoshua told the people to sound the alarm, for God had delivered the city into their hands. Yehoshua also told the people that the city was forbidden by God with everything that was in it, and if anyone took of the spoils, this would bring Israel under a curse. Then the Kohanim blew the shofar. With this alarm, the wall collapsed, and the people went in and captured the city. The ban was placed on it and on everything which it contained. The city was burned, but the vessels of silver, gold, copper, and iron were given to the treasury of God. Then Yehoshua pronounced a curse. "Cursed be the man who will rebuild Jericho. He will lay the foundation, but his firstborn will die. He will set up the gates, but his youngest will die in retribution." Achan's sin. Then Achan, the son of Carmi, son of Zalvdi, son of Zerach, who was the son of Yehuda, trespassed against the ban on Jericho. He concealed in his tent what he had taken from the spoils. The anger of God was kindled against Israel. When the Bnei Israel had returned from the destruction of Jericho, Yehoshua sent spies to the city of Ai, which they were going to attack next. The city of Ai, which they were going to attack next. Okay, the spies reported back to Yehoshua, "The entire army need not go on the attack. 3,000 men will be enough to accompany you, since there are few inhabitants in that city." The battle did not go well. 36 men of Israel were smitten, and the Bnei Israel fled. Then Yehoshua tore his garments and fell to the ground before God and the elders of the people, and they placed dust on their heads. Yehoshua cried, "Oh God, why did you allow this people to cross the Jordan, and now they have fled before the enemy?" The Canaanites will hear about this, and they will surround us and destroy us." God said, "Why are you downcast? Get up and take action. For Israel has sinned and has taken from the forbidden objects. I shall not continue to be with them unless they clear away the forbidden things from their midst." Yehoshua arose and assembled the people. He ordered that the Urim, part of the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, be brought to him. The Urim named the tribe of Yehuda, and eventually Achan, son of Carmi, was named. Yehoshua said to Achan, "Tell me, my son, what have you done?" Achan said, "I saw among the spoils a robe of Shinar and 200 shekels, and a strip of gold weighing 50 shekels. I wanted these, and I placed them in my tent, and they are hidden in the ground." Yehoshua sent men to find these, and they brought them from that tent, and showed them to Yehoshua, who took Achan and his family as far as the valley of Achor. The valuables were burned, and Achan was stoned, and the place covered by a heap of stones was called Amek Achor, Valley of Troubling. Then the anger of God was appeased. After this, Yehoshua approached the city of Ai to fight against it. God said to Yehoshua, "Do not fear and do not be dismayed. I have given into your hand the city of Ai, its king and its people. Do to them as you did to Jericho, but you may keep the spoils. Place an ambush behind the city." Yehoshua did so, and chose 30,000 warriors, and sent them to be placed as an ambush behind the city. Yehoshua commanded as follows: "When you see us fleeing from the men of Ai as a ruse, since they will, of course, chase us, then you should rise from the ambush, enter, and take the city." Yehoshua then began the battle, and the men of the city went out against Israel, not knowing that an ambush was waiting behind the city. Then, according to plan, Yehoshua and his men retreated from the attack and were pursued by the inhabitants. The city was now virtually undefended, since the men had gone out in pursuit of the men of Israel. The Israelite ambushers got up and attacked the undefended city of Ai from the rear. Seeing their city in smoke, the men of Ai now had no means of escape. Their king, Moloch, was hanged, and all 12,000 people of Ai fell. All the kings of the east of the Jordan River had heard about the destruction of Jericho and Ai by Israel, and the inhabitants of this region gathered together to fight against them. But the inhabitants of Gibeon were especially afraid, so they acted with cunning. They came to Yehoshua and all Israel and said to them, "We have come from a distance in order to make a covenant with you." The covenant of peace was made, and the princes of the assembly gave their oath. Then Israel found out that these were really a neighboring people, but they were not hurt, since an oath had been made. These people were given jobs as hewers of wood and drawers of water. Then Yehoshua asked, "Why did you deceive us thus?" They replied, "It was told to us what you have done to the kings of the Amorites, so we feared for our lives, and we did this thing." It was on that day Yehoshua made the Gibeonites hewers of wood and drawers of water, and they were distributed among the tribes. Now when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, heard what the Bnei Israel had done to Jericho and Ai, he sent to Hoham, king of Hebron, to Piram, king of Yarmus, to Yaphia, king of Lachish, to Devir, the king of Eglon, saying, "Come and help us, so that we may defeat the Bnei Israel and the Gibeonites who made this peace with Israel." So the 5 kings of the Amorites came with their divisions, a very large gathering, as many as the sand on the seashore. They all came to fight against the men of Gibeon. The Gibeonites sent word to Yehoshua, "Come to us at once, since the kings of the Amorites have gathered to attack us." Yehoshua with his army went to Gilgal, and he attacked these kings suddenly, and God delivered them into the hands of the Bnei Israel. They pursued them by way of the ascent of the Be'ez Haron to Makeda, and they fled before Israel. Then God cast hailstones on them, which killed more of them than had been killed by Israel. The Bnei Israel still pursued them, but the day was waning, and Yehoshua said, sun at Gibeon stands still, and the moon in the valley of Ayalon, until the people have taken revenge against its enemies. God heard Yehoshua, and the sun stayed in the height of the sky for 36 hours. Such has never happened either before or after, that God should so hear the prayer of man. God was fighting for Israel. Yehoshua's song. Then Yehoshua sang this song when God delivered the Amorites into the hands of Israel. Oh, a song, a song. He spoke it in the presence of all Israel. Many things you have done, O God. You have performed such wondrous things. Who is like unto you? My lips sing to your name. My mercy and my fortress, placing me on high. I will sing a new song to you in thanks, my Lord. You are the strength of my salvation. All the kings of the earth will praise you. The princes of the world will also praise you. The Bnei Israel will sing of your salvation, and will sing in praise your might, your might, your might. In you we trust, O God. We said that you are our God. For you are our refuge and a tower, strength against our enemies. Unto you did we cry, and we were not abashed. In you did we trust, and we were rescued. When we cried to you, you heard us, and saved our soul from the sword. You have shown us your mercies, and given us your salvation, and made our hearts glad in your might. You went forth to save us, and redeemed with your arm your own people. You answered us from your holy heaven, and rescued us from myriads of people. The sun and the moon stood in their abode, while your anger stood against our adversaries. While you commanded your judgments against them, all the princes of the earth stood. The kings of the nations were assembled and moved not from your presence. They desired only your battles. You arose against them in your anger, and brought down your wrath, and destroyed them by your fierce anger, and cut them off by your fire. The nations were confounded before your dread, and kingdoms tottered on account of your annoyance. You cut down kings on the day of your wrath. You poured down upon them your anger, and your fierce wrath did overtake them. You returned their own iniquity upon them, and destroyed them for their evil. They spread destruction, and in it they themselves fell, and their feet were trapped and entangled. Their hand reached your enemies, they who said that they inherited the earth by their sword, and by their own strength inhabited cities. You filled their presence with shame, and brought their power to the ground. You confounded them by your wrath, and you destroyed them. You destroyed them like you said you would. From your presence the earth trembled. It shook on account of your thunder. You did not withhold them from death, and their existence reached as far as the deep Sheol. You pursued them with your whirlwind, and put an end to them by your strong storm. Their reins were turned into hail, and they fell into traps and did not rise. Their bodies were cast over astray, in the open places were they cast. They were ended and completed by you, and you saved your people by your strength. Therefore will our heart rejoice, and our soul be glad in your help. Our tongue will tell of your powers, and will sing and praise your wonders. For you saved us from our enemies, and rescued us from our foes. You destroyed them from before us, and thrust them beneath us. So shall your enemies perish, and the wicked shall be cleared away as with chaff by the wind. But those who love you will be planted like trees by the waters, like trees by the waters, like trees by the waters, like trees by the waters. Now Yehoshua and all Israel returned to the camp at Gilgal, after they had defeated the kings, and not one of them was left. The 5 kings fled on foot from the battle, and they hid in a cave. Yehoshua had searched for them during the battle, but he did not find them. Later he was informed that they were hidden in the cave. Yehoshua appointed men to stand by this cave, so the kings could not escape. When Yehoshua had completed his defeat of the Amorites, he gave command that these kings be brought from this cave. He called the princes and told them to place their feet on the necks of the kings, and they did so. The kings were killed and placed in the cave, and a huge stone was placed at the entrance of the cave. Conquest of the land. Then Yehoshua and the people went from there to Makkedah and defeated it. He prohibited all the spoils as he had done in the case of Jericho. From there he went to Libnah and attacked that place, and did to its king as was done in Jericho. Then on he went to Lachish. When Aram king of Gezer came to help Lachish, they were defeated, and Lachish as well as Libnah fell. Then he went on to Eglon and to Hebron and conquered these places too. He proceeded to Devere and took that place too. So Yehoshua defeated all the kings of the Amorites from Kadesh Barnea to Uzzah, all in one move. One cool move. Then Yehoshua returned to the camp at Gilgal. Now Yavin, king of Hatzor, who had heard about all this stuff, sent messages to Uriah, king of Madon, and Lavan, king of Shimron, to Ephon, king of Achshaph, and to all remaining kings, saying, "Come at once and aid us, so we may defeat Israel before they destroy us, as they have already done to the others." Guess what? Kings read this message and then went forth with their armies. That is 17 kings with a huge assembly of armies and the horses and chariots and all that kind of stuff. They came to the waters of Meron to wage war against Israel. Then God said to Yehoshua, "Do not fear them, for at this time tomorrow I shall have delivered all of them into your hands. Their horses will be maimed, and their chariots burned. Their horses will be maimed, and their chariots all burned. Their horses will be maimed, and their chariots all burned." So Yehoshua came upon them suddenly and defeated them totally defeated them, so that the entire company of kings was absolutely, totally questionably beyond a shadow of a doubt defeated. Then Yehoshua passed on to Hatzor and defeated it. From there he continued on to Shimron, and to Ashaph, and to Adullam. After these victories, he passed on to all the cities of these kings, and they were all defeated. Thus did he strike the land of the Canaanites and killed the 31 kings. This land was taken by Israel in addition to the hands of the kings Sihon and Og on the other side of the Jordan, which had already been given to Moshe, to Reuven, Gad, and half of the tribe of Manasseh. For 5 years did this war rage before complete peace reigned for Israel. At that time, 5 years after Israel had passed over the Jordan, there was a great war between Edom and the children of Kittim. Kittim having declared war against Edom. It happened that King Avianus of Kittim, in the 31st year of his reign, went with a powerful army to the land of Seir to wage war against the children of Esau. Hadad was the king of Edom, and he went to fight with a large army in the territory of Edom. The people of Kittim prevailed against the army of Esau, and Kittim killed 22,000, so that all of Esau fled. They captured Hadad, the king of Edom, alive, and brought him to Avianus of Kittim. Avianus gave an order to kill Hadad, who died in the 48th year of his reign. Edom was now subdued by Kittim. From that time onward, the people of Edom were ruled by Kittim, and they became one kingdom. The Edomites never again raised their hand against Kittim. King Avianus then placed viceroys to represent him in Edom and returned to his own land. He built a large palace and reigned securely over Kittim and Edom. In those days, Israel had dispossessed the Canaanites and Amorites. Yehoshua was now old. God said to him, "You are now advanced in years, and there is still much of the land left to conquer. Divide the land now as an inheritance to the 9 tribes and to half the tribe of Manasseh." Yehoshua immediately did what he had been commanded to do. He apportioned the land accordingly, but to the tribe of Levi no portion was allotted, since the offerings to God were their share. Yehoshua gave Mount Hebron to Caleb, son of Yefuneh, and to his sons to this day as an extra portion over his brothers, as God had commanded. Yehoshua apportioned the land by ballot to all Israel. The Bnei Israel gave cities to the tribe of Levi to dwell in, as well as suburbs of these cities, for their cattle and possessions. Dividing the land. The land was divided among them proportionally to large and small numbers, as God had commanded Moshe. The Bnei Israel also gave a settlement to Yehoshua ben Nun, according to the word of God. This settlement was Timnas Serach, in the region of Mount Ephraim. He built up this city and resided in it. The allotted portions were apportioned by Eliezer the Kohen and by Yehoshua ben Nun, together with the heads of the tribes. These were so given by a lot at Shiloh before God at the entrance of the tent of meeting. They now ended this task of division, so that at last the whole promised territory was given to the Bnei Israel as God had spoken and as he had pledged to their fathers. Now he gave them rest from all their enemies, so that now no man was able to wage war against them. None of the good things promised to them was now lacking. Yehoshua called all the Bnei Israel together, and he blessed them and ordered them to serve God. He sent them each to his city and each to his piece of land. They served God all the days of Yehoshua, and now they were given peace and were able to live in their cities securely. At this time, Avianos, king of Kittim, died in the 38th year of his reign, which was the 7th year of his having reigned over Edom. They buried him in his own palace, which he had built for himself. After him, Latinos reigned for 50 years. When Latinos became king, he took an army and fought against the inhabitants of Britannia and Camania, who were the children of Elisha, the son of Yavan. He conquered these, and they paid him tribute. Then he heard that Edom had rebelled against Kittim, and Latinos had fought against them and subdued them. For a long time, Edom had no king, because they were under the rule of Kittim. Yehoshua, now being old, summoned by the elders, judges, and officers of Israel after peace and tranquility was established among them after the wars. He addressed them as follows: Behold, I am now old, and you have seen what God has done to all the nations which he has driven out before you. You see that he fights for you. So now be strong and observe the Torah of Moshe, so as not to turn away from it, neither to the right nor to the left. Do not intermarry with these people, and make no mention of their gods, but cleave only to your God, as you have done to this day. Yehoshua urged the people strongly to serve God. All Israel replied, Indeed, we shall always serve God. All our days, we, our children, and all our descendants for all time. And all our children and all our descendants for all time. So Yehoshua made this covenant with the people on that day, and he sent them, each one to his particular parcel of land and to his city. They buried the remains of the patriarchs of each tribe that they had brought up from Egypt, each one in the land of their respective descendants. Thus were the remains of the 12 sons of Yaakov placed in the territory of their children. These are the names of the cities in which the 12 sons of Yaakov were laid to rest. Reuben and Gad were buried in Romia on the east side of the Jordan River. Shimon and Levi were buried in Magda, that belonged to the tribe of Shimon, but a suburb of that place had been given to the tribe of Levi. Yehuda was laid to rest in Bavia near Be'ez Lechem. Issachar and Zebulun were buried in Sidon, in the portion given to their descendants. Dan was placed in Eshtoal, and the bones of Asher were placed in Kadesh Naphtali, each one in the land given to his children. The remains of Yosef were put in Shechem, in the very place bought by Yaakov from Hamor. Benjamin was placed in Jerusalem near the Jebusite territory. The Hamor is an ass, as in like a donkey. Death of Yehoshua. 2 years after this assembly, Yehoshua ben Nun died at the age of 110. He had judged Israel for 28 years, and the people of Israel served God all the days of his life. The remaining acts of Yehoshua in the history of the battles which he fought against the Canaanites and how he instructed Israel are recorded in the book of Yehoshua given to Israel and in the book of the battles of Hashem. These contain the names of the cities which the Bnei Israel inherited. Israel then buried Yehoshua in his own territory in Timnath Serach, near Mount Ephraim, and Givat Pinchas ben Eleazar. After Yehoshua died, the Bnei Israel wished to drive out some of the Canaanites who were still in the land. They asked of God, "Who will start the battle for us against the Canaanites?" God said, "Yehuda will advance." So the tribe of Yehuda said to the tribe of Shimon, "Come up with us in our territory, and we shall likewise go with you in your territory to fight against the Canaanites." So the sons of Shimon went with the sons of Yehuda. Both fought the remaining Canaanites who were still found in both tribes' land. They went and fought against the Canaanites, and God delivered those into their hands, and they defeated them in Bezek to the number of 10,000. They defeated and cut Adoni-Bezek, the chieftain in Bezek, and they cut off his thumbs and the big toes of his feet. He said, "There were 70 kings who used to gather food from beneath my table, who were thus mutilated by me. As I did, so has God done to me." Then he died. Then the sons of Shimon went with the sons of Yehuda, and they defeated the Canaanites, and God was with Yehuda, and they drove out the inhabitants of the mountain. The children of Yosef went up to Beth El and Luz, and God was with them. They spied out this city, and the watchmen saw a man going out of the city. They said to him, "Show us the entrance to the city, and we shall show you kindness." This man showed them the entrance, and the children of Yosef defeated the city by sword. This man and his family were allowed to go to the land of the Hittites, where he, in turn, built a city which he named Luz, after his own native city. Conclusion. Now Israel dwelt in their cities, and they served God all the days of Yehoshua, and during the times of the elders who survived Yehoshua, and who had witnessed the great deeds which God had done for Israel. These elders judged Israel for 17 years after the death of Yehoshua, and they also fought against the Canaanites who were driven out by God. Israel was now settled in the land of the Canaanites. God had fulfilled a promise which he had made with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. He had kept the oath in which he had sworn to give them and their children the land of Canaan. The good land was given to the Bnei Israel, and God gave Israel rest at last from all enemies around them, so that the Bnei Israel lived securely in all the cities of the land. Amen. Hallelujah. Oduna kitov kilelam hasto, kilelam hasto, kilelam hasto.